Hello and welcome back to another video. If you are new here, welcome to my channel. My name is Justyna, and if you're a returning viewer, welcome back and thank you for joining me today. So here today I'm going to talk about the upcoming full moon in Sagittarius happening on the 31st of May at 9 degrees of Sagittarius and 55 minutes. All right, so here we started May with a full moon in Scorpio and we end with a full moon in Sagittarius. So 2 full moons in 1 month. It was a very intense month, especially the first 2 weeks. And we end on a rather more philosophical, more spontaneous, more adventurous note. So here, if you have any placements in your birth chart at around 9 degrees of Sagittarius, give or take 2 to 3 degrees, then you'll be under greater influence of this full moon. But also, we have to take into consideration the other mutable signs like Gemini and Pisces and Virgo. So with Pisces and Virgo, there's a square and an opposition with Gemini. So here, all the mutable placements at around 8, 9, 10, 11 degrees, generally give or take 2 to 3 degrees, will be under much greater influence. All right, if your birthday falls on the 31st of May, happy birthday. This coming year, solar year, will be very significant for you because when our birthday falls on a full moon, this means that we will be ending a chapter in our life, a phase. So there is a sense of culmination here in the upcoming solar year. Now, this full moon is quite interesting because, first of all, of course, we started May with a very intense Plutonic full moon with a square to Pluto. It was really, really intense. And the new moon in Taurus, we had that Mars and Chiron conjunction, which was pretty wounding and healing and emotional. And during the full moon in Sagittarius, we've got very different aspects. So first of all, the moon in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is a fire mutable sign connected to adventure and anything that's foreign, anything that's spontaneous, anything to do with travel. And having that more optimistic outlook on life. So here, Sagittarius is the philosopher of the zodiac. And during this full moon, we've got a few interesting alignments. So first of all, we've got a separating trine with Neptune. We've got a separating sextile with Pluto, which is now retrograde in Aquarius. And we've got an applying trine with Saturn in Aries. So if we think about those separating aspects, this is something that we are now moving away from. So we'll look into it more in depth during the all signs. So we're moving away from the illusion that Neptune may have created and from anything that we have been processing internally, especially following the full moon in Scorpio. So that will be the separating sextile with Pluto retrograde. So yes, the energies are internalized with the retrograde planets and the applying trine to Saturn. This is about building something or giving a shape and form to an idea, to something that comes up, shows up during the full moon. Now, the dispositor of this full moon is Jupiter. Jupiter is exalted in the sign of Cancer for another month until June the 30th, at which point it moves into Leo. So here we've got Jupiter is not making any immediate aspects to other planets, so it is unaspected. I know we've got this beautiful conjunction with Venus on the 9th of June, but at this point, Jupiter is not making any alignment with other planets, any immediate alignments. So this also indicates that it's like a lone wolf. And sometimes a planet that doesn't make any connection with any other planets, it's its energy is not influenced externally. So it can act a little bit in a more of a rebellious way, out of control, uncontrolled way. Now, according to the traditional text, when a planet, when Jupiter is unaspected, it's more difficult to ground our goals, our ideas, and at the same time, it's the kind of energy that requires a little bit more effort from us to reach our goals, our objectives. So it might feel like we have to constantly or continuously take initiative and create our own opportunities instead of waiting for things just to happen. All right, so that's something I thought would be quite interesting to mention. Of course, we've got the sun, the solar point is in Gemini, and it is very, very, very gently influenced by Uranus at this point. It's separating from a conjunction with Uranus, which occurred on the 22nd of May. And here, at this point, there could be also a very gentle influence or echo from anything that happened around the 22nd of May in our lives. So also pay attention to that. The energies of that day may have a certain degree of influence on the energy of this full moon, but this will of course depend what happened in your life during that time. But that's something also on the side that I wanted to mention. All right, so that's what I wanted to tell you about this full moon. Now, for those of you who want to read more, hear more about the general overview of this full moon, have a look at my Substack publication, where I will be releasing a article about this full moon in the upcoming days. All right, so here, let's move on into the forecast for each rising sign. So these horoscopes are most accurate for your rising sign. However, you can also watch them for your moon sign or your sun sign if you wish, just to get a slightly different perspective and maybe more insights as well. All right, so let's start from Aries. So Aries, welcome to your full moon in Sagittarius horoscope. All right, so here this full moon activates your 9th house. The 9th house deals with anything to do with foreign places, legal matters, foreign destinations, anything also to do with higher learning, your life philosophy, anything to do with self-growth, self-development related matters. Now, the 9th house also deals with people that we admire, our mentors, for instance, as well, people who inspire us. And this is also the house of publishing, which actually resonates with the full moon influence because the full moon is connected to releasing, letting go. And it's a continuation of a story that started a while back. And in the gestation lunar cycle, we would look at what happened here, what you initiated around 18 months ago during the new moon in Sagittarius. That took place in late 2024 here. It's quite a long time ago, but if you have any placements at around 9, 10 degrees, 8, 9, 10, 11 degrees, then you would have remembered probably. But anyway, so what happens here? It's basically, it could be connected to publishing, launching a business, or perhaps even a new career. The 9th house deals with teaching and learning, higher learning. So on the one hand, for some, this could be a culmination of an important course of study or your degree, master's degree, MBA, or perhaps you might be yourself getting into a teaching role, for instance. Now, here with the 9th house, and of course the full moon illuminates what is perhaps what was overlooked and what needs to be addressed, what has been brushed under the carpet, if you will. This could see you thinking deeper about your direction that your life is heading, especially since now you've got Saturn and Neptune in your 1st house. And you started a very important phase in your life this year, without a doubt. Here, Saturn is about structure and discipline, authority, and it could have brought more responsibility, perhaps a new career or a different position. Maybe here you are graduating now and you're embarking on this brand new chapter. So whatever the scenario here, this full moon could make you question the direction that your life is heading, your path overall, your purpose. And it could give you the much needed clarity as well. Now, we've got a separating trine with Neptune in your first house. So any confusion, delusion, lack of clarity that could have occurred in the last few weeks or months regarding your identity, who you are generally, who you want to be, who you are becoming, this is now gradually dissolving. It's a separating trine between the new full moon and Neptune in your first house. We've got an applying trine with Aries, with Saturn in Aries. Saturn is still in the direct motion, so this is connected to a possibility to move forward with your life. Saturn gives you the discipline that you need. Saturn helps you to bring form and shape to your ideas, to your goals. So Jupiter, the dispositor of this full moon, is unexpected. So you might have to implement a little bit more effort and a little bit more energy in order to reach your goals, reach your milestones, without maybe waiting too much for others, perhaps for things generally to just happen. At the same time, this is a time when your life is being restructured. This is a time when you are reshaping your beliefs, your life philosophy as well. So it seems like your worldviews are changing. Your life philosophy is undergoing a shift as well, but something is also reaching a peak, a turning point, an education related matter, a legal case, for example, or something to do with the direction that your life is heading. Something to do with generally realigning yourself with the path that feels most aligned with the person that you are becoming. Thank you so much, Aries. And let's have a look at Taurus. Taurus, welcome. Welcome to your full moon in Sagittarius horoscope. So here, this full moon activates your 8th house, and the 8th house deals with matters connected to transformation, death and rebirth, regeneration, anything to do with shared joint resources, investments, money that comes through different sources than your regular income. This is also the house of mortgages, debts, loans, insurance. So here, with a full moon illuminating this area of your life, of course, the full moon, wherever it happens in our birth chart, it tends to turn our attention onto the area of life activated. Now, this is your financial area of life, of course. The solar point is in your 2nd house and the full moon in the 8th. So something is coming to a culmination, something needs to be addressed here in the 8th house, in your life, in your birth chart. And also have a look if you have any placements around 9 degrees of Sagittarius, give or take 2 to 3 degrees, because this can also give you additional insights in terms of what you can possibly expect to take place and see. Now, with the 8th house activations, the moon doesn't feel comfortable in the 8th house. Overall, the 8th house is traditionally associated with the energy of Scorpio. So what I always suggest or recommend during full moons in the 8th house or even new moons is to find some peace and quiet, engage in activities that can help you to relax. Surround yourself with positive people, with positive experiences. If you can, of course, we can't always be 100% in this ideal reality. But if you can create a couple of hours during the day and engage in something, even if it's like a warm bath, for example, that can help you relax, it could be really, really beneficial. This is the area of transformation, so it could be a time when you'll be processing a lot of thoughts and emotions and feelings. For this reason, it's during the 12th house and the 8th house, 4th house full moons. It's always good to spend some time in solitude on your own, withdraw from the outside world, from the outside chaos, because this can really help you recharge and heal. So this could see you, that there could be some developments with some investments, for example, some returns. This will, of course, depend on your circumstances. This could be also connected to a situation that occurs in a business partnership, in your relationship. Think about how the finances in your relationship partnership, whether that's business or personal, love-related, whether they are shared equally, whether something needs to change during a full moon in the 8th house. These sort of dynamics come into light. The 8th house is also the 2nd house from the 7th. This could this full moon could be related to a financial situation that relates to your significant other that could potentially influence also this relationship, whether he's starting a new job or a business or dealing with a financial decision that may impact your lives. This will, of course, depend on your circumstances. But at the same time, as I mentioned earlier, we also have a couple of alignments. We have a separating sextile with Pluto in Aquarius in your 10th house, and also a separating trine with Neptune in Aries in your 12th house, and an applying trine with Saturn in your 12th house. So those separating aspects are connected to something that you are currently moving away from, something that you have dealt with, and now you're moving away from. The 12th house energies very often are connected to our mental health, to our inner world. If you've been dealing with anything to do with perhaps some unhealed emotions, feelings, perhaps negative self-talk, patterns related to overthinking. Perhaps for some Taurians, this could mean that you are kind of moving away from a healing phase, but perhaps if you feel like you need additional support and help, then the 8th house energies are also connected to therapy. So for some, this could mean that perhaps you're ready to get some professional support or help, and to help yourself heal. And that's what the applying trine to Saturn could indicate, starting therapy session, for example. Now, the 12th house energies could also indicate that perhaps you have been also dealing with issues of boundaries. And here, this full moon could make you want to set healthier boundaries with other people. And at the same time, this could be also connected to some behind the scenes work that perhaps now you feel like you want to give it more shape and form. Now, with the 8th house full moons, this is also connected to any debts, loans, a situation connected to your finances that may need a resolution, that may need to be addressed during this time as well. Anything to do with power struggles, control issues. These patterns also come up to the surface during the 8th house activations, and this is a good time for addressing these and for finding solutions to these sort of dynamics and problems. All right, so now we will look at Geminis. Thank you, Taurus. Geminis, for you, this full moon takes place in your this is your 7th house. So this is your relationships you have with other people, contracts, one-to-one connections, partnerships. This is an incredibly important area of life for you for the next 7 years, because Uranus is now here. Uranus is now here, and it's the kind of energy that brings different dynamics, something that you're probably not used to. And it also help you to break away from any patterns, negative patterns, stagnant connections. And here, this full moon, think about what happened in your life around the 22nd of May, because here you might be still dealing with a situation that came up during that time. We also have a Mercury and Uranus conjunction on the 18th of May, then the Sun and Uranus conjunction on the 22nd. That could have been a build-up for you, especially since Mercury is your ruler and was very active on the 18th with Uranus. So think about what came up, what occurred around that time, because it could relate to any decisions and matters that need to be addressed around the full moon in Sagittarius. With the full moon, this is connected to your relationships, something that needs to be addressed, resolved. It doesn't have to be love. It could be also a connection, relationship, a contract you have with a client, with your dentist, with your landlord, for example. As well, we've got a separating trine from Neptune in Aries, that's your 11th house. So for some, this could also manifest as a possible, perhaps realization that, or a need even to move away from a connection that doesn't align with your values, with your beliefs. Generally, maybe you realize that perhaps a person that you thought was your friend, it's not. And the separating trine from Neptune could mean that those illusions are lifting now. And it's much easier for you to move away from maybe some misaligned connections or groups that perhaps were the right fit for you, but they are not. And now with Saturn being activated, so the full moon applying to Saturn, here, this energy can help you bring form and shape. Maybe this could be about a new connection in your life, for example, friendship, collaboration, maybe joining a new group. So there's some kind of group support help, or perhaps a friend helping you with a relationship-related matter, or to resolve a certain contract. Generally here, there is some kind of supportive energy here. Saturn is facilitating it, because Saturn is about structure, discipline. And at the same time, this full moon could make you feel like more clear, could bring more clarity in terms of who is your friend, who belongs in your reality. This could be also related to a situation that within an important connection in your life, reaching a turning point. Perhaps something needs to be addressed, resolved, for instance, as well. So it is related to one-to-one connections, but with the separating trine with Neptune, applying trine to Saturn. And you're moving away from something that felt like an illusion, but at the same time, you're making space for something more aligned and concrete. Right, so that's here, the full moon. Thank you so much. And let's have a look at Cancers. Cancers, welcome to your full moon in Sagittarius horoscope, which will activate your sixth house. So that's your everyday life, everyday reality, your health, anything to do with your work and routine, day-to-day activities. So this full moon could make you realize what's lacking, what's misaligned, and what needs to change. If you feel like your daily life lacks a spark, or perhaps if things have become too predictable, too monotonous, then this full moon is going to bring it to light and make you perhaps think about what you could implement to make your daily life more exciting. Or perhaps if you struggle with being organized, if things feel too chaotic at the moment, then this full moon could also bring it to light. Now, this full moon could also make you more aware of what you eat, of your health habits. If you need more exercise, then full moons in the sixth house also make us more aware of these patterns. So it's all about your health, your daily life, your lifestyle, your work habits. At the same time, if you've been working too much without having a break, without having a healthy work and life balance, then this full moon would be an ideal time to also sit down and think things through, especially here, to help you to navigate your daily reality, your work and life balance more efficiently. Now, we also have a separating trine from Neptune applying trine to Saturn. So the 6th house full moon connects to your career and life direction. So if you have felt confused about the direction that your life is heading, your career life, if you felt in two minds, if there was a certain degree of confusion about your direction, about your career, and maybe you had too high expectations, maybe you had no expectations, no plan, no clear goals. Now this full moon is generally, it feels like things are shifting. Things are shifting for you, and you're moving away from this confusing phase to a certain degree, and you have a chance to build something more concrete. Especially since Saturn is your 7th house ruler, and the 7th house is connected to contracts we have with other people, relationships, connections, partnerships. So there could be an opportunity that may come up, show up, or some kind of support that comes through someone close to your heart for some developments in the career area, in the career sense. So this will, of course, depend on your circumstances, but Saturn is connected to structure, discipline, order, with the full moon in Sagittarius applying to trine Saturn, the planet is traditionally associated with career. It's a career planet connected to authority and order, discipline. This is a chance to build something, give your idea a shape and a form. But remember that Jupiter is unaspected during this time, exalted in your sign, in your 1st house. And on the 9th, it will align with Venus. Beautiful alignment. So generally, the window between the 31st of May and the 9th could be a window of opportunity for you, but you need to take the initiative and help yourself by creating these opportunities instead of waiting for them to just happen. So thank you so much, Cancers. And now we will explore the energy of Leo. So Leos, welcome to your full moon in Sagittarius horoscope. So this full moon occurs in your area of the 5th house. The 5th house deals with your creative with the creative self-expression, anything to do with creativity, self-employment, and freelancing, children, working with young people, romance, the romantic side of your life as well. Full moons bring to light what was hidden, what wasn't clear, what wasn't fully understood. These are the kind of lunations, energies, events connected to turning points, culminations. Have a look if you have any placements in your chart around the 9th degree, give or take 2 to 3 degrees of Sagittarius. Sagittarius connects beautifully with Leo energy via trine. So we've got a really positive energy here to start with. The dispositor of this full moon is Jupiter, exalted, unaspected in your area of the 12th house. The 12th house Jupiter is a lucky placement because it gives you like an external, invisible protection. But at the same time, it makes you very more reflective and more. Generally, it tends to be a kind of energy that makes you contemplate more your life, your path, the direction your path is taking. And I think it's definitely has been the case for many Leos, especially since you are about to begin a big transit of Jupiter in Leo along with the eclipse cycle. So if you feel like nothing is happening in your life, nothing is moving, then that's because something big is about to emerge, show up, and you need that time alone and that time of reflection, contemplation to think things through, to process your emotions, your thoughts. And here the full moon brings to light something connected to happiness, joy. What brings you joy? What brings you happiness? What are your hobbies? What are your interests? Do you have enough time to enjoy your life? Or is it just work and not enough fun? Well, here, this could be a time when you might actually be questioning whether there is enough fun in your life or whether something needs to change. Maybe you're starting a new hobby. Maybe you want to express yourself in some creative way. And this could be a turning point also for those who are freelancers. Now, here, for some, this could indicate that perhaps something to do with your child going through a shift in their life. Maybe they are having exams or finishing school and they will need your support. They will be on your mind. And perhaps you're thinking about the changes and the shifts happening in your life and how you will find yourself in this new reality when they leave school and they embark on their new life journey, for example. And with a separating trine with Neptune in Aries in your 9th house, it feels like your beliefs could be shifting, your life philosophy. You might be questioning your direction, your life direction, your purpose. And perhaps you're now moving away from a phase that where you lacked a clear sense of where your life is heading. And now with an applying trine to Saturn, this is when you can bring more form and shape to your ideas, to your goals, and to your plans. It might be that also because the 9th house deals with gurus and teachers, people that inspire us. Maybe this is also when someone influential might really inspire you. And it could create for you that eagerness to take action, to follow your goals, to follow your dreams. Now, for those of you who are single, you might be also thinking, what about my romantic side of life? And you are currently in a cycle where you can form a real relationship, a strong commitment. That's the eclipses in the 1st and the 7th house. It's not Venus transiting the 7th house. It's not Mercury. They rarely bring long-term commitments. It's the eclipses. It's Saturn transiting the 7th house. It's the nodes. You are in this cycle. We'll explore it further in July in the monthly horoscopes because you've got the nodes shifting into your relationship house. But in the meantime, thank you so much. And let's have a look at Virgos. Virgos, welcome to your full moon in Sagittarius horoscope. This full moon activates your 4th house. So that's your foundation, your home life, your family life, and your roots, where you come from. During a full moon in the 4th house, we often have a need to be at home. We often have a need to withdraw from the outside world. Not all the time, but you might find yourself craving just being at home and having some home time, or maybe home alone. This is a really good full moon to dedicate some time and energy to just be somewhere where even feels like home. This can really help you to process your feelings, your emotions, to ground yourself, to ground your energies. Remember, the ruler of this full moon is unaspected. It doesn't make any immediate aspects to other planets, which can also make it difficult to ground your ideas if you yourself are not grounded. Now, Sagittarius full moon squares your ascendant. So with a square, there's often friction and tension. And it could mean that there is a matter at your home situation that needs to be addressed, that needs to be resolved, and needs your energy, needs your effort. So you might have to implement a little bit of effort, a bit of energy to resolve matter connected to your home. Now, bear in mind, with the full moon in Sagittarius, this is often connected also to something that generally has been already an ongoing issue, now reaching a point of culmination, a turning point, its peak. It's a great time for decluttering as well, decluttering, getting rid of things you don't need, donating as well. And at the same time, since full moons tend to illuminate what was hidden, something that perhaps you were not aware of could now become very clear. We've got a separating also sextile from Pluto in Aquarius. So this is also when you will be moving away finally from anything that you've been processing internally, and that occurred around the full moon in Scorpio at the beginning of the month. And at the same time, a separating trine with Neptune in your 8th house and an applying trine to Saturn. So during this full moon, it seems like you will be moving away from some confusing energy, something that perhaps clouded your judgment. Maybe something to do with your financial area of your life, joint and shared resources. For example, anything to do with your finances. So here, the 8th house dynamics, if there has been a situation in your life with another person, with your partner, with your ex-partner, especially if you share children together, if there has been something that was unclear in terms of money, in terms of some kind of financial, emotional entanglements, maybe investments. It seems like this is now kind of dissolving, and you're moving into a situation that will bring more clarity and structure. So there could be an opportunity for resolution. There could be an opportunity for having an important conversation that you have been avoiding. Now, this will of course depend on your circumstances. I know for many Virgos, Virgo rising with Saturn transiting the 7th house, many Virgo rising individuals experience relationship changes. And for this reason, this full moon could bring to light something that would have already occurred during the Saturn transit in the 7th house. So whether that was resulted in a divorce, and now, during this full moon, you might be dealing with a situation connected to shared and joint finances, resources. Whether that was a marriage, this full moon could also make it more visible and clear, maybe, if things are shared equally or whether something needs to change. All right, so thank you so much, Virgos. And now let's have a look at Libras. Libras, welcome to your full moon in Sagittarius horoscope. So Sagittarius and Libra, they connect by a sextile. So to start with, you've got good energies here, at least with the full moon sextile. So yes, it's opportunities. Sextiles bring opportunities, but with sextiles, we need to also create those opportunities. It's not something that just will happen. Sextiles make it easier to achieve our dreams and goals, but we have to take the initiative, especially since the ruler, the dispositor of this full moon is Jupiter, exalted in your 10th house. And here it's unexpected. So this means that it's essential to stay grounded in the reality and be realistic about your expectations as well. But at the same time, it's essential to also take initiative. Full moons are connected to turning points, culminations, change of direction. The 3rd house is connected to news, gossip, information, decisions, short distance travel, your immediate environment as well. With 3rd house full moon, this could be connected to some important news you may receive. It could be connected with the decision you might be making, you have been contemplating, and now this full moon will bring maybe a sense of pressure to commit, to decide which direction you want to take. You might find out something that perhaps was hidden from you, and it's a time of communication. So this could see you having more conversations with others, And this could see you also having to make decisions, and you might be reaching some important deadlines. Now we have a separating sextile with Pluto retrograde. So this is also a time when you are moving away from situations that occurred around the beginning of the month. Things are now kind of processed, at least internally. It's a retrograde phase of Pluto. Something to do with your children. It could be a romantic partner. So it's kind of like a shift happening. Same with Neptune, because this full moon forms a trine with Neptune and Aries. So this also indicates a certain degree of a shift, as it shifts from a situation that may have seemed confusing, that lacked clarity, that lacked foundation. So, and this is here connected to one-to-one relationships, dynamics, contracts. So now you're moving away from that. And at the same time, with a separating trine with Neptune, it could be also that perhaps some illusions you may have about someone close to your heart are now also dissolving, and you are able to see things more clearly. Now, with an applying trine to Saturn, this is connected to you having more clarity. It's a very stabilizing energy, but also it could be about an important decision regarding some kind of commitment, an important commitment in your life. A decision whether you want to commit or whether perhaps you need more time, you need more information, for example. So something that perhaps felt unclear is the time has come to formalize it, to stand your ground, to make a decision, whether that's a new client, a new contract, whether that's a new chapter for your personal relationship. This will depend on your circumstances, but here there's a shift of energy taking place. All right, so thank you so much, Libras. And now we've got Scorpio. Scorpios, welcome to your full moon in Sagittarius horoscope. Now this full moon will take place in your second house. The second house deals with money, your income, your self-worth, your personal values. So a full moon in the second house, this is connected to your personal finances, your income, your financial capabilities, potentials as well. So here, this full moon is illuminating something in your financial area of your life. And full moons are connected to culminations, turning points, and endings. So something in your financial area needs your attention, needs to be addressed, needs a resolution. Now, to gain deeper understanding of what it could be, we need to look at, first of all, this is a time to be realistic about what is possible and what isn't. You need to stand your ground. Jupiter, the ruler of this full moon, is unaspected. It isn't the sign of Cancer exalted, but it's a time to generally to take initiative to create your own opportunities. If you feel like some things resonate, some decisions, some ideas resonate, then this full moon might encourage you to try, to experiment, especially in connection to your financial situation. Now, at the same time, we have a separating trine with Neptune. Then Neptune is in the sixth house. The sixth house is connected to our everyday reality, our everyday life, our work and life balance, our health. So Neptune can bring chaos into the sixth house. Neptune can make us sometimes more chaotic, disorganized. Now, thankfully, there's Saturn, so for this reason, it's easier to navigate the Neptunian energy. But with a separating trine from Neptune in the sixth house, if you feel like your routine was too chaotic, if you've been maybe undercharging your services, if you've been working overtime, but you haven't been compensated fairly, and if this has been draining you, if you've been undervaluing yourself, then during this time you might realize that how much this has impacted and affected your sense of self-worth and self-esteem. Now, at the same time, of course, we have a separating sextile with Pluto retrograde in Aquarius in your 4th house. So all these internalized emotions and feelings you have been dealing with connected to your emotional life, to your home, family. Now you're moving away from these energies that you have been processing and dealing with throughout the month of May. And now with an applying trine to Saturn in Aries in your 6th house, this is a chance for you to build more structure in your daily reality, in your daily life. The trine to Saturn wants more structure. Saturn gives you more discipline. It helps you to set clear boundaries. So, for example, this full moon, if you feel like you've been working too much, staying after hours, but not getting paid for it, then under the influence of this full moon, you might realize that you need to respect your boundaries. And unless you're paid for overtime, you're not going to do it. And on a different level, this is also, for example, about answering emails only during work hours and then putting your phone down when it's time for family life, for yourself, for relaxation, for rest. This full moon might prompt you to have a serious conversation with your employer regarding a potential pay rise. For some, this could be a realization that it's time to leave your current employment or seek something better, a place where you will be recognized for your skills, recognized for your intellect. So different kind of possibilities, but with the separating trine from Neptune, you're kind of moving away from any illusions and lack of boundaries, perhaps chaos that may have been the case in your work life, in your everyday life, and you're moving into something that has a better shape, form, and structure. So thank you so much, Scorpios. And now Sagittarius, welcome to this full moon in your sign horoscope. So full moon in the 1st house in your sign, a very special, important full moon for you because it's about you. It's about your goals, your direction, your ambitions. And Jupiter in the 8th house, which is unaspected, which also means that you need to take initiative during this time. You need to create your own opportunities because and this full moon brings to light what perhaps you were unaware of. It brings a much needed clarity. It could bring possibilities, turning points, and a decision that you've been avoiding, delaying as well. Now, the ruler of this full moon is Jupiter. Jupiter is in Cancer in your 8th house in the reality. And perhaps if you're overly optimistic, it might result in missed opportunities. But with Jupiter in the 8th house, this is when support often comes through others, through other people, through some external forces, organizations overall. So there is some supportive energy for you that may come through another person, even if it's something that perhaps you needed help with, personal matter that needed some advice, solution, resolution. It might be that someone could help you to resolve it, to overcome it. But at the same time, this full moon forms a separating trine with Neptune in Aries and an applying trine with Saturn in Aries. So the 5th house deals with the romantic side of our life, with the creative side of our life, the creative self-expression, the inner child, our children, if you have children. And here, the 1st house full moon is connected to the area of the self, your identity, your physical appearance. So very often with full moon in the 1st house, because the full moon is illuminating your persona. So this could be a time of recognition, of you reaching an important milestone. It's not something just something that just happens. It's a point of release, culmination, a peak of something that has already been initiated prior to this full moon, because the full moon is the middle of the lunation cycle. And with a separating trine from your 5th house, this is connected to some illusions, delusions, and perhaps unrealistic expectations coming from your area of creativity, self-expression, joy, fun, maybe something to do with your romantic side of your life or with your children. If you've been pouring too much energy into a situation that involved your child, your romantic partner, or perhaps some project, and maybe things weren't going in the direction that you're hoping for, now these energies are kind of dissolving and you're gaining more clarity, gaining a better understanding as well. And with applying trine to Saturn, Saturn is about structure, discipline. And this could see you committing more seriously, whether that's a new romantic relationship or perhaps something to do a project with your child, or some plans, goals, milestones related to your child, or perhaps something to do with a hobby, personal project, or an interest. So it's an interesting one because this full moon is going to help you understand your life, your current situation, your path more clearly. To illuminate the area of the self. But at the same time, don't be afraid to ask for help, to ask for support. Jupiter in the 8th house supports any external help. So it's a very supportive energy when it comes to receiving. Don't be afraid to receive. You don't have to do it all by yourself. And of course, we've got a beautiful trine to Saturn, which brings a lot of stabilizing energy when it comes to any personal project, when it comes to committing to something real, authentic. Now, a separating sextile with Pluto in Aquarius as well, retrograde. This energy also helps you to process and overcome the energies of the initial phase of May. That occurred around the full moon in Scorpio, new moon in Taurus as well, especially the full moon in Scorpio when Pluto was activated but now retrograde. These energies are quite internalized, and with a separating sextile, you're shifting away from those mindset, decisions, thoughts you may have been processing throughout the initial phase of the month. All right, so thank you so much, Sagittarius, and let's have a look at Capricorns. Capricorns, welcome. Welcome to your full moon in Sagittarius horoscope. 12th house activation, so a very internalized full moon. The 12th house deals with hidden matters, behind the scenes work, spirituality, private life. So with a full moon in the 12th house, this is a time of when you might need some time alone, when you might need time to contemplate, to think things through. And it's a good time to detach from the outside chaos, to withdraw from the outside reality, even temporarily, because this is when you can really recharge your energies. This is when you can gain clarity. This is when you can reflect, process any confusing thoughts, feelings, emotions. So time alone is needed, is necessary, is healthy during this time. Engaging in activities that are soothing, of a spiritual nature, whether that's yoga or a retreat or some kind of spiritual circle, or even a warm, relaxing bath or spa day. Whatever it is, here, this sort of energy needs a bit of nurturing. But at the same time here, this is a time when you might be processing a lot internally, when you might be dealing with a situation that is private. The 12th house full moon can be quite heavy, so they need to be processed peacefully. But at the same time, this is a great time, because after spending some time on your own, you can let go and release of what isn't needed, of what isn't necessary, of what is unhealthy. Time alone gives you a lot of clarity. The ruler of this full moon is Jupiter. Jupiter is in Cancer, exalted, unaspected, and it is in your 7th house. So with a 7th house dispositor of the full moon, this could be also connected to your relationships being quite prominent during this time. And it could be connected to some support coming from someone close to your heart. But at the same time, we've got a separating trine between the full moon in Sagittarius and Neptune in Aries. So a separating trine, separating aspects are connected to energies that we are shifting away from, that we are moving away from. Now, Saturn and Aries are here in your 4th house. So anything to do with home, emotional foundations, family dynamics can feel slightly stagnant, moving at a slower pace. And sometimes we feel slightly lonely and unsupported when Saturn is in our 4th house, especially here within our family circle, within family dynamics. And Neptune can also make you feel slightly disconnected from your roots, from your home. It might bring confusing thoughts about where your home is. And a separating trine from Neptune in Aries with the full moon in Sagittarius, this could indicate that you are shifting away at this point from any illusions, confusions that may have emerged connected to your sense of belonging, connected to what home means to you. And now with this full moon applying to Saturn in Aries, which is your chart ruler as well, this is a time when you might feel like things are starting to make more sense. You are regaining the clarity you may have lacked in the recent past. Now you've got an important full moon coming up on the 29th of June as well, so keep an eye on that. So you have a chance for, because this full moon in Sagittarius could bring the much needed clarity, which could be quite useful during the full moon in Capricorn at the end of June. So here, this could see you making some important decision regarding your home, regarding your family, regarding the direction that your life is taking. So it doesn't only have to be connected to your family because Saturn is your ruler. So here, an applying trine to Saturn during a full moon in your 12th house, during which time you will be reflecting a lot about your life, about your past, about where your life is heading. And with a trine to Saturn, this can bring the much needed push and clarity that you've been lacking. Clarity regarding your life, the direction your life is taking. This could see you also making some concrete decision regarding your personal direction, regarding your living arrangements. If there has been a situation, an unresolved situation at your home or within a family, your family circle, then it could now, things could be shifting in the upcoming weeks. So thank you very much, Capricorns. And let's have a look now. Let's have a look at Aquarius. So Aquarius, welcome. Welcome to this full moon in Sagittarius horoscope. This full moon activates your 11th house. And the 11th house deals with your friendships, with your social circle, your sense of belonging, your long-term dreams, your long-term goals. So now full moons are connected to culminations, turning points. So there's a shift of energy happening in your area of friendships, in your area of groups that you belong to. It could be that your friendship, an important long-term friendship, or perhaps some kind of group project, or maybe even some kind of membership that you have within a certain organization. Something here is reaching a turning point. It could be a time of a situation that needs to be addressed, a decision that needs to be made in regards to your friendship or to some kind of group that you belong to. It could be that your friendship might reach a defining moment. Now, for some, this could mean that a strong realization that you don't resonate with your social circle, with a group you belong to, that a certain friendship connection is not what you thought it was. So sometimes full moons in the 11th house indicate an end to a friendship, an end to a certain connection in life. Now, it could also indicate that perhaps an important connection in your life, maybe they are leaving, they are moving, they are relocating, their circumstances are changing. Now, during a full moon in the 11th house, we often also question our belonging to certain groups, organizations as well. Now, at the same time, we have a separating trine with Neptune in your area of your community, immediate environment. So this could also see you moving away from some illusions you may have had about certain people, certain connections in your life, and this full moon is helping you see things more clearly. And with Saturn, when applying trine to Saturn in your 3rd house, this could be connected to an important decision you may have to make around this time, connected to other people. Now, at the same time, this could also see you committing to an important project. This is the kind of full moon that perhaps could make you cut ties with people that drain your energy and perhaps help you move into a direction with people that you resonate with most. Now, at the same time, of course, you're also moving away from a sextile with Pluto retrograde in Aquarius in your 1st house. So this is also when you would have processed all these emotions, feelings that you would have absorbed in these initial weeks of this month, especially during the Scorpio full moon. And now there is a shift coming. So this could also indicate that your mindset is shifting. You are changing internally. So this could be connected to that deeper transformation and perhaps a shift going, an ongoing shift of who you are, of who you are becoming. Jupiter, the ruler of this full moon, is unaspected. So this also indicates that you have to ground yourself and you need to be realistic about your expectations. So thank you so much. And now let's have a look at the Pisces. Pisces, welcome to this full moon in Sagittarius horoscope. It's happening in your 10th house of your career, professional life, growth, development. So a really important full moon of 2026 that illuminates your public life, your outside world. And this could be a turning point in your career, a time of some major achievements, a time when you are reaching an important milestone, a time when you are being recognized for your hard work. Now, this will, of course, depend on your circumstances, because for some, this could actually mean that enough is enough. You had enough, and you can't go on like this anymore. And this could see also either having an important meeting, conversation with your superior, with your manager. And this could be a time of some major career-related decisions as well. If you feel like you're unsupported and if you feel like you're being treated unfairly, then this could also see you having an important conversation or making an important decision regarding the future of your direction, of your career direction, because this full moon forms a square to your ascendant in Pisces. So there is a bit of tension and friction, but also it could feel like a now or never moment, because this full moon could push you to stand your ground, especially since Jupiter is unaspected. So it's a time to be grounded in your decisions. At the same time, we have a separating trine with Neptune. So any illusions you may have had about your income prospects, about your financial goals, objectives, they are now dissolving. You're seeing things more clearly, and you might be more clear about your expectations, about what you want, about how things are at your work. And if things are not the way you want, then this full moon could really open your eyes. It could be very eye-opening, but at the same time, with a trine to Saturn, this is a very stabilizing energy, and that could also help you to commit to a goal, to an idea, a decision that could have lasting influence, lasting potential. So whatever the scenario here, generally whatever happens around this full moon, there is a potential here for you for stepping up your game. this is a time when you're visible, when you're noticeable, when you can make a difference. And this is connected to your direction, to the direction that your life is heading, whether that's your career, whether that's your personal life. If you're already retired, this could also see you perhaps receiving more visibility within your community. This could be connected to maybe even an invitation to perhaps do a talk at a special workshop or an event as well. So there is a turning point happening here, more visibility, more clarity here as well. And this will, of course, depend on where you're at your here in your public life, but there is an opportunity for that momentum in this area of your life. So thank you so much, Pisces, and all the best.